Holy smokes. Get it? Holy. I waste all my best material here. I should be touring by now. But if you told me that we'd be firing out the 4th angel-themed horror video in as many weeks 4 weeks ago, I would have said you were crazy, or you had just met a celestial being. Either works. So let's get right down to business with some of the most dangerous, destructive, and downright demonic angels we can conjure. It's time for the top 5 angels that are worse than demons, part 4. Coming in at number 5, we've got Ophanim. Back to basics with some angels ending in the suffix im, we've got another many-eyed, ever-turning wheel filled with fire and knowledge. This class of celestial being is well known throughout the Judeo-Christian theology as being extremely wise, and therefore classified as an angel of knowledge. Most folks would say that knowledge is power, so we can probably assume these are quite powerful. With great power comes great responsibility though, and in that case, this means the angels never sleep. They just don't have the time, as they're supposed to be guarding God's throne in heaven. Generally, a lack of sleep leads to surliness and poor decision making, possibly even extra aggression, so maybe don't mess with these angels. They've got a lot on their minds and very little time to rest. Bad combo for somebody with authority over us mortals, don't you think? Ophanim are also known as thrones or wheels, and this has to do with how their spirits are situated. See, apparently they've had their spirits encased in these wheel-like structures that move with them wherever they go. This also gives them a very distinctive look. Flaming wheels in the sky, constantly spinning, covered in hundreds of eyes. It's hard to mistake them for anything else. Now, these eyes are meant to be constantly aware of everything around them, lining up well with the whole angel of knowledge thing. And as they're constantly monitoring everything, they're seeing how well what they're watching lines up with God's will. And guess what happens if they witness something that isn't so heavenly? Boom! Punishment. These are like the omnipotent security cameras of heaven. If you're doing something bad, sinful, or otherwise blasphemous, you're gonna get caught red-handed in HD, 4K VR. Not good for you or your eternal soul. With demons, at least they make you sign a contract or agree to a deal before they have total knowledge of and control over you. These fiery sky wheels are hull monitoring you from day one, and there's nothing you can do about it. Plus, they look plain freaky, all covered in ocular orbs and fire. Coming in at number 4, we've got fallen angels. We've done a lot of talking about biblical fallen angels and all sorts of beings similar to them. But today's selection of fallen angels comes from a book that is neither holy nor regularly found in hotel bedside tables. These ones show up in the always engrossing Dresden Files. In a world full of fairies, werewolves, demons, vampires, wizards, and more, one would think that there'd be an easy way to deal with fallen angels. This is not usually the case in the world of the Dresden Files, and in many cases, these angels are some of the most dangerous entities out there. Deception is their game, and they play it well. Essentially, all these shadow creatures do is use people's own minds against them in order to remove their free will. Like, most folks don't even realize they're being manipulated and controlled by fallen angels because they're just so good at it. Fallen angels take whatever inclinations you might normally have and twist them to make you act in ways you wouldn't otherwise. In doing so, they can lead you down horrible paths and ruin your life, all while making you feel like it's your fault. By throwing a healthy blend of powerlessness and personal responsibility into the mix, they've destroyed more mortal minds than can be counted. Hell, because they're so good at it, you could actually be under a fallen angel's influence right now. You know that bad thing you did and you feel guilty about? Well, if you start spiraling, now you know why. Just imagine a force beyond your understanding forcing you to follow a code of behavior you wouldn't accept, removing all choice from your life and preventing you from finding purpose. Sounds like living a nightmare, right? Almost like hell on earth. Coming in at number 3, we've got Uriel. Back to some biblical angels, Uriel is hardcore. We talked about the Gate Guardian last time, and to be honest, there's a lot of crossover between the two. There's the enormous flame-covered sword, the abundance of fire in general, and of course the guarding of a gated area filled with fruit trees. Who knew? But today we'll look in the good book instead of the SCP Wiki. Uriel, also known as the Angel of Repentance, is a pitiless hardline angel. There is no warmth or love in his heart, only thunder and terror. In fact, he's been compared to demons when it comes to his remorselessness. Yeah, so this is an angel you don't want to mess with. Now, if we look back to some of the earlier videos in this series, you'll recall a group of angels known as the Watchers, led by Shem-Hazai. These celestial beings defied God and went down to Earth to consort with humans, birthing horrible, enormous monsters. Uriel took one look at this and said, shut it down. Did he decide to eliminate the Watchers and teach the humans not to go against God? Was he able to see that humans were ignorant and therefore unable to be blamed? Was mercy ever even an option? Of course not. Uriel was the one to decide it was time to cleanse Earth, humans, watchers, and all. So he was the one who began the cleansing flood featured in Noah's Ark, ridding the world of any presence he deemed impure. That is one cold-blooded angel, man. Coming in at number 2, we've got Bartleby and Loki. Oh, Kevin Smith, what were you thinking with this one? The 90s were just such a different time. Sometimes I look back and think that it all happened in an alternate universe or something. Nothing made any sense, but it all made perfect sense. God. So in 1999, Kevin Smith directed a movie called Dogma. Dogma was about 2 angels who were ejected from heaven and decided that they were going to exploit a loophole in Catholic dogma to make it back up there. If they were to succeed at this though, it would fly in the face of the idea of God being infallible and therefore undo all creation. Even the worst demon possible couldn't manage to annihilate everything that ever existed through creative use of a heavenly loophole. Oh, and also, these demons are played by Ben Affleck and Matt Damon. That should tell you all you need to know. So these angels, now hanging out on Earth, get up to a whole lot of troublesome behavior. Somehow they manage to convince a nun to give up on religion wholesale. They shoot up an entire boardroom of business executives, although I suppose those guys could be considered sinners. Bartleby and Loki even spend most of their time on Earth beating up on people, threatening folks, and menacing mortals with assorted weapons. Why? Because they feel like they're mistreated in heaven. Gosh. In the end, Loki manages to become human once again and develops a bit of a conscience. However, Bartleby almost goes all the way through with his end the entire universe scheme. Who knew heavenly beings could be such jerks? Finally, at number 1, we've got the God's Hand Killer. Frailty? Such an underrated movie. And while the killer that we're discussing today isn't actually an angel, the implication is that they were sent by an angel to do away with demons. That kind of delusion, or not delusion, and the damage it can do makes it worth a mention for sure. In Frailty, we meet a father and his 2 sons. Papa claims that he was visited by an angel who tasked him with destroying demons wearing human skin. He makes sure that his kids are well versed in his demon-sighting ways and has them help with disposing of victims' bodies. Goodness gracious. One of the kids claims to share his vision, and their devotion to the cause becomes more apparent over time. I don't want to say too much about the movie because the devil is in the details, literally, so I'll leave it at that. An angel grants a seemingly insane man the divine right to kill demons disguised as humans, which might not be the best call from said celestial warrior. The fact that this killing spree extends out over multiple generations raises even more eyebrows. What makes a human a demon worth killing anyway? I suppose only angels know that in the end. We're digging deeper and deeper and deeper to find more fearsome angels, and finding plenty each time. Folks tend to focus on demons quite a bit, but there's lots of terror in the skies above too. So what'd you think of the list? Do you agree with my picks? What angel freaks you out the most and why? Make sure you let me know down in the comments. Speaking of comments, let's take a look at some of your more lethargic ones from the top 5 scary games used to summon a demon. Jenny G says, I'm watching this during an advert break in Paranormal Activity, and it really annoys me that Micah gets the Ouija board when everyone tells him not to. Then again, he just annoys me full stop. Yeah, there's a lot of decision making in that movie that's pretty frustrating, although they did improv a good deal of it, so that might have something to do with it. Cymatic1 says, wow, who knew demons are restricted by time zones? I say abolish time zones, one worldwide time to keep the demons at bay. Astaru says, I haven't tried playing Bloody Mary or any other horrifying games really, because I value my safety. The same thing can't be said if we're talking about cursed books though. I'd definitely try watching one of those, or videos, because it's always fun. I mean, the end result is probably the same with any of these, right? You'll freak yourself out no matter what. Mark Mission Edogal says, if there's any game to summon Lucy, please tell me. There is, but Cher is the chosen one. Nobody else can fulfill the prophecy. And Prison Killjoy says it's all fun and games until someone loses an eye, then it's hockey. I'm still waiting on that first major playoffs injury. Who wants to bet that it involves Tom Wilson and Brad Marchand? And that's all the time we have for today. I'm going to eat a slice of pizza before it cools down sufficiently. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.